I signed up at the age of 15 years old, approximately a year before I actually went and joined, which was the 9th of June 1981. I was 16 years old and 20 days. So probably, well, definitely one of the youngest. And I joined the Royal Army Ordnance Corps Apprentices College, and we were there for 14 months in basic training. And I was excited because my family is a military family, all from the same Ordnance Corps. But I was also terrified. I was a little skinny thing as well. I was virtually on extra rations to put on weight because I was so skinny. You wouldn't think that now. So 16 years old. And the old Wessex helicopter that I don't think are ever in service. These were quite old, back in '84. My trade was as a vehicle specialist. So for my first couple of years, I did quite a bit of driving, but then got virtually all of my driving licenses. So I could, aged 18, I was on a tank driving course down near Bulford, learned how to drive tracked vehicles, car licence, truck licence. The only one I didn't get was my motorcycle licence, but I got that eventually a few years later. And we just looked after hundreds and hundreds of vehicles in a vehicle storage facility near Tewkesbury, and that provided vehicles for all three services of the Army. Issued them, received them, maintained them. It was hard work, but the vehicle specialists were a breed apart, very sociable, as most of the Army, most of the services are. And I was ordered to play rugby at age 17 and a half, never played, coming from a football area, Manchester, and played my first game, got bent in half both ways and loved it. And I played a lot of rugby in the Army, which was probably one of the best things that I ever did as well.
Had you managed to put on enough weight by then to be in the team?
A few pints and a few pies in the naffy helped. A lot of weight training. There was also a tug of war team there, and I did that for a little bit, but that was quite hard work actually, pulling on a rope. So it was all upper body stuff really, and I ended up being a prop forward, which was an education. Having not played the game before. It was good there, but I always felt, and this is no offence to other vehicle specialists, but I always felt I could do a bit more. Quite slow promotion in that trade.
But you did go on to do more because you ended up in Northern Ireland. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, one of the guys I played rugby with, he was due to go to Northern Ireland. He'd done all his pre-Northern Ireland training, and about 4 weeks before he was due to fly out there, so that would have been like April of '84, he broke his leg. So the officer commanding got everybody on parade and asked, right, do we have a volunteer to take his place? Because I think the unit wanted to replace that, him, that they felt duty bound. So I put my hand up. So I was just 18 then. I was 19 in the May. I'd not done any Northern Ireland training, though I loved my military training and the minor tactical stuff that we did. So my name went on the sheet. I got accepted. I had about a week and a half's leave with my girlfriend, and then got on a plane and flew to Northern Ireland, only knowing what I knew from the newspapers. In hindsight, I think they were taking a risk not putting me on pre-Northern Ireland training, so I didn't understand the politics properly, didn't understand what it was like to be in a riot situation, didn't really understand about personal protection and what I could and couldn't do. So all of that was on the job learning when I hit the ground. And in fact, I landed at Belfast Aldergrove Airport carrying an army issue suitcase, which was not the right thing to do. And a Royal Ulster Constabulary policeman with a rifle strapped across his chest. And I was, starry-eyed. Oh dear, what's happening here? He comes up and he went, "You'd better come with me, sonny." And I was, oh my, terrified. And he just took me to this desk and went, "Get him out of sight, get him to where he's meant to be going. The boy's an idiot." And he was right, but nobody told me. But I also should have known. And then I went down towards the south of the Northern Ireland, on the border in County Tyrone and Fermanagh, and got thrown in the deep end with the bomb disposal team, which was a very tight-knit team, and I soon integrated with that. And it was hard work, interesting work, frightening work, sometimes great, sometimes awful, really. And at 19, it was hard. It was hard. But, because you're in a close-knit team, excuse me, I got through it. And I look back on it fondly, but talking about it now brings up stuff. Nothing horrific. I don't think I lose sleep over that tour of duty. I can't look at roast pork or smell roast pork because it just reminds me of human flesh. And we had to do a bit of that. I think we went on 64 operations in 5 months. Some of them were to devices that hadn't exploded and had been found. And some of them were post-explosions or mortar bomb attacks or devices that had gone off and killed members of the Ulster Defence Regiment, the Royal Ulster Constabulary and the British, the army troops that were out there. Excuse me. So some of that was clearing up afterwards. Luckily, the gallows sense of humour, the dark sense of humour that I know the police and the ambulance and all the armed services tend to have, that helps you get through at the time. Then the days after, we go to the bar, have a few beers, get a pat on the back from the local military and police, and then just get up and have another day, because it was all quite fast-moving Groundhog Day. And I grew up a lot then. I think it'd be fair to say I was a bit of an idiot who just thought that life was one big laugh from pint of beer to next pint of beer, game of rugby, go home at the weekend, up to Manchester and, the big I am. But that, I'm still a bit like that, but it did make me grow up, and that made me reevaluate my career. I sat an education test to be an ammunition technician, which was the trade that provide the people who do the bomb disposal. The guy who puts the suit on and walks towards the device. Very brave men, very brave.
Did you do that role at any point?
No. It was a staff sergeant, ammunition technician officer. My job was actually to dress him, to put the suit on him, to look after him as he went up to the device and came back. He had a number 2 who ran the robots and the TV cameras and the technical side. He was a corporal. I was a private. I lifted all the heavy stuff, carried all the heavy stuff. But when we were live on the job, I looked after the boss, the number 1. So I saw up very close the look on his face when he came back, the amount of sweat, nerves. I handed him his cigarettes, and a little nip from a hip flask sometimes, and was just, wow, this guy is amazingly brave.